Thursday, March 6th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. A whole lot to talk about here, mainly focused on our incoming storm system. Let's get right into it. There's a look at the temperatures currently. I'm cutting this video about 5:30 early on this Thursday morning. Temperatures in the low 30s, some upper 20s mixed in, and some of the colder Piedmont spots. And there's your winds really cranking out of the northeast now. And those northeast winds will be pretty stiff today and tonight as one of our cold air damming scenarios begins to unfold. Very pronounced wedge event set to unfold. Now there's a look at storm tracker radar, and at the moment pretty quiet around the region, but there's a precipitation with our incoming system. And that all is developing and lifting up in our direction. The models are in pretty good agreement that this is going to be a pretty good precipitation event. The trick, of course, is the types of precipitation across the region. I'm going to show you a whole lot of model data here as today's edition of the video unfolds, so just hang with me. There's a look at the low pressure taking shape in the Gulf of Mexico, clouds spilling overhead out ahead of that, and there's a lot of small scale features that will play a role in our temperatures as we get into tonight, such as the amount of cloud cover today, our dew point temperatures, how dry they get. The drier the dew point, the colder we'll wind up getting as the precipitation settles in tonight. So a number of factors to look at. This is the overall idea, though. Low pressure moves from the Gulf of Mexico to off of the Carolina coast, spreading precipitation in. Now, the color contours you see here, this is the RPM model, and you're looking at mainly freezing rain being indicated there from northwest of Charlotte and near Gastonia on up I-85 through the Triad into the foothills, some snow in the mountains. And then as the upper level energy ripples through, this is kind of the deal tomorrow. I think it's a scenario where some of us are going to see rain, but where the precipitation is most intense, probably some bursts of snow as this system moves through. Now, let me show you a couple more things from the graphic system, then I'll get into the more detailed modeling. This is the NAM computer model, and I believe this is the 6Z run that made into the system, and it's ice accumulation amounts. Okay, and I'll back that out a little bit, and you can see that's kind of the overall scenario it is painting. Now the RPM, I'm telling you, it is being aggressive with the freezing rain accumulations. That'd be a problem, even if it does change over to rain and melt away. If you get that much ice, that's going to cause some problems tonight. So we will hope that solution is maybe a little bit overdone. Now the European is colder aloft, and again I'll show you that in just a second, but because of these colder temperatures aloft, less of a warm nose involved, you get more snow on the European model. And so it's more of a snowier and sleet type scenario as opposed to freezing rain in some areas. So really, I'm telling you what, a lot of moving pieces with this forecast. This is not an easy forecast by any stretch of the imagination. There's the old phrase in the meteorology profession that upper level low, weatherman's woe, and that is on display with this system. These things, I'm telling you, they always have surprises up their sleeves, and I could certainly envision a scenario tomorrow where some areas are getting bursts of heavy, probably accumulating snow. Other spots are just seeing rain and 34 degrees. It's that kind of deal. So there's the upper level low on the European. This is valid around daybreak tomorrow, and then that will pivot northeast from there. And a lot of times on these upper level lows, right on the northwest side of them where you get the very intense upper level forcing, that is where you can get some snow, even if a lot of the modeling verbatim doesn't indicate that. These things, they always have a surprise or two. Now this is the Canadian model, and that is what it is representing late evening. And that's heavy snow. In the foothills, the northernmost Piedmont, and then a layer of ice south of that. You go toward just prior to daybreak tomorrow, and you've kicked the northern suburbs of Charlotte and the Triad over to ice, snow back into the mountains and the foothill areas. And then you go even further out in time, and the temperature's warm enough that it's mainly rain, although you see those little shadings of yellow. I believe that would probably be some bursts of snow, just based on experience. All right, so let's get into the European. There's its surface chart, valid this evening, about 7 p.m. You go 6 hours later. There we are just after midnight. Low pressure taking shape off the coast. There's your heavy band of precipitation moving in. 850 temperatures, sub-freezing in the northern most parts of North Carolina. So that'd be snow up that way. Surface temperatures below freezing down to around I-40. So That would be I-40 and some ice at that point in time. 6 hours later, around daybreak tomorrow, there's the precipitation fields. There's your. Now, this is the key here. Look at the 850 millibar temperatures. And this is back to that scenario I was showing you a couple of days ago, where you have a lot of areas in this corridor right, excuse me, right here, where the 850 temperature is within a degree either way of freezing. And so in those areas where you get the heavier precipitation, that's where you can get some bursts of snow. Surface temperatures sub-freezing still in the northwest part of North Carolina. So you go 6 hours later, and this is early afternoon tomorrow. 850 temperatures still indicating those areas, a lot of spots from Georgia through the western Carolinas in central parts of North Carolina that are right at freezing aloft. Now the European is the coldest model aloft in relation to the other models. You'll see that here coming up in just a second. Let's see here. Let's go to the GFS model. All right, here we are. This was the 0Z run of the GFS. This is valid about 1 a.m. At that point in time, low pressure really cranking pretty nicely. GFS has finally caught on to the overall scenario of the heavier precip making it pretty far back inland. There's the GFS surface temperatures all the way down to the northernmost tip of the upstate sub-freezing. And let's see, there, try to find the 850 temperatures if I stuck them in here. I may not have stuck them in there at that point in time. We go a little bit later on in the GFS. This is early afternoon tomorrow. Still some heavy precipitation across parts of the area. And then finally that system pulls on away. Now onto the 60 NAM. There's your freezing line that's made it down to the northwest part of the Charlotte metro area. That's overnight tonight. At the same time, there's your precipitation ongoing. 850 temperatures are warmer on the NAM, but you still see that indication. This is early tomorrow afternoon. You still see there's that little bubble of zero, freezing air up at 850 millibars, indicating that, again, in that heavy band, you probably still get some bursts of heavy snow. Finally, the 60 GFS has arrived, and this is what it is looking like. So this is the very latest GFS run. This is 1 a.m. There are your surface temperatures sub-freezing in much of western and central North Carolina. 850 temperatures near or just above freezing. And then you go out to daybreak tomorrow. There's your precipitation. There's your surface temperatures still sub-freezing in much of northern and western North Carolina. 850 temperatures have warmed a bit at that point in time, and then finally the system pulls away as you get deeper into tomorrow. So here are the WPC probability maps here. There's your probability of 1 inch of snow, covering a good chunk of the northernmost parts of the upstate, but most of western and into central North Carolina. And then you get into the ice potentials, and these are pretty high values here. This is the potential for a 1/10 of an inch, I'm sorry, for a 1/100th of an inch of ice. And those are pretty high probabilities, but they stay pretty high in North Carolina. This is a 1/4 inch of ice probability, so you're looking at some 50-60% probabilities there, kind of centered around parts of the triad. And that's the probability for 1/2 inch of ice. So you're still looking at the 10-20+% possibilities of a 1/2 of an inch of ice in some areas. I'm telling you, this is a tricky forecast. This is one that's not very easy to put out a call map. There's still a possibility if the colder European solution is correct and you wind up with 850 millibar temperatures looking something like that, then you could look at a period of heavy wet snow over the western Carolinas tomorrow morning. But if the temperatures aloft stay a little warmer, like a lot of the other modeling shows, it's freezing rain or rain. So it's a really, really challenging forecast to try to continue to nail down for you. And I'll keep working on it, and I'll post some updates, of course, throughout the day and night. All right, that is it for today's edition of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and God bless.